This is probably the one thing I really love to preach about, is the Eucharist. It is something that is very powerful to me as a priest. It is something that fills my day when I say Mass. It gives me the kickstart for what I need to do each day that I do it. It helps me to understand where I am in my community, where I am in the world, and who I am within that world. That is what the Eucharist is supposed to do. It is supposed to help us understand where we stand with Christ. It is a wonderful gift, a sacrifice, a sacrament. It is probably the only thing that is seen as both sacrifice and sacrament, which of course says a lot for it. But we don't really understand it. That's the problem. Many of us do not really understand the Eucharist. We have fallen short of its meaning. Not because we don't want to understand it, it is because we have become familiar with it. It is something we do on a Sunday. We come to Mass, we go to communion. Why? I don't know, everybody else does it. I think I do it. That's probably it. Or if we're from the older style Catholic, because the priest told us you have to go. You don't have a choice, you have to go. You're obligated. I remember when we were looking at our little penny catechisms many years ago, it says you are obligated to go to Mass on Sunday. If you don't go to Mass on Sunday, you're committing a mortal sin. And it was very clear, it was cut and clear, you understood it straight, that it was a mortal sin not to go to Mass on Sunday. That was it. I remember people in my own hometown in Ireland, and they'd go to Mass on Sunday, and they should not have come near the Mass. They were hardly able to walk in the door. I've seen people of 80, 90 years of age, barely able to move. And they walked into Mass, and they go up to communion. The priest would have to wait for them to come up. Even sometimes the priest would actually make a kind of a quick dart down to them so that they wouldn't actually have to get out of their seat. Because if he didn't, they would take their time. It's not because they were taking their time, it's because they weren't able to move. Pushing a walking aid in front of them, and they're doing about 4 steps in half an hour. They'd wait forever. But in their mind, they were obligated. If they didn't go to Mass on Sunday and receive the body and blood of Christ, they had committed a mortal sin. Thanks be to God, Vatican II came. You know, it kind of changed things a little bit, relaxed that little rule a little bit, but still, at the end of it all, we still don't understand it. It is so full of meaning and richness that we sometimes just are not able to actually grasp it and really feel that we are in unity with Christ. We push it away. Why? Mainly because it's easier. It's easier not to think. It's easier not to actually dig deep into the understanding of the meaning, because if I dig deep into that meaning, I have to change. I have to become the Eucharist. I would love you all to be able to have at your fingertips the early church fathers. Especially my friend, Tejas, or Thomas Aquinas. We will use prayers today at the benediction that were written by Thomas Aquinas. back in the 8th century. And those prayers elevate the understanding of the hope in what we do and what we say. My friend Augustine has written numerous treatises or essays or books even on the understanding of the Eucharist. And I have had the pleasure of reading most of it. When I read them first, I did not understand it. I thought it was so far above me that I could not even get a tiny little bit of information from them. They were written in a language that was above my thinking, I thought. But you have to read them over and over, just in order to be able to get the meaning of what they're saying. And when you do find that meaning, man, it changes the whole aspect of Mass and the Eucharist. Today we celebrate Corpus Christi, the body, blood, soul, and divinity of Jesus Christ, the real presence in many ways of what we have in our unity. One of the greatest promises that Christ has given us is that I will be with you always, even to the end of the age. That's a powerful statement. A statement sometimes, again, we just take flippantly, and we just brush it off. What does he mean by being with us always to the end of time? This is what he means, by the way. The reception of the body and blood of Christ. I am with you. I am the gift that is going to give you at the Eucharist. We, during the offertory, will bring up gifts from ourselves, the gifts of bread and wine. We bring them up in the offertory every Sunday. They walk up with them. Do they know what they're carrying? Yeah, I'm carrying a piece of bread and a drop of wine. That's it. But he brings that up. They bring that up here. And it's received by the priest in persona Christi, in the person of Christ. And he takes that and puts it on the altar. And through the power of the Holy Spirit, Christ is made present to you in the presence of the bread and wine. It becomes the essence of God. That's heavy theology. When I read St. Augustine's treatise on the Eucharist, he was telling us this, but I was not able to understand it. Because the language that he used was so powerful. I had to stop and think for a while. We have taken it so much for granted that we don't even realize. If you ask many of our Catholics today, is God really present? And they would probably say no. It's all a symbol. These are symbolic gestures that are being met. And that's not what the Church Fathers have taught us. If you listen carefully to what the Gospel has said, he has taken to himself the gifts that God has given him. His life he takes into his hands and hands it over to be sacrificed. He becomes the paschal sacrifice. We do that with the bread and the wine. God takes it to himself. He takes that life form and brings it onto himself. This is my life. This is me. This is God. I am taking this and I am going to offer it back up and give it back to you. That's what he means. And it's not just giving you a piece of bread and a drop of wine. He is giving you himself. Body, soul, and divinity is given to you. That powerful gift, that gracious gift, that unblemished gift, which you will hear in the Eucharistic prayer we use today. And we come up chewing gum sometimes, talking to the person coming up beside us, or doing something else, wanting to make sure I look well, or whatever the case may be. And we walk up and we stick our hand out or we stick our tongue out and we say, Amen. Do we really know what we have received? It is indeed a good question. Do we realize that we are actually receiving the body and blood, soul and divinity of Christ? A powerful thing to actually be involved in. My friend Augustine says, I want you to just listen to some of the stuff that he says. And this is only just one paragraph out of it. The characteristics of the genuine truth of Christ begins with the taking of bread into his hands. When Jesus verbally interparted this generosity, he identifies the bread with his embodied of life. But the very fact of taking his embodied life into bread indicates a direction between his ultimate goal and his embodied life. One final identity is that it is transcendent self who gathers up his or her life in radiance of that action. This wisdom also allows you to return again to that process. Sacrifice is not a random act. It is built into a permanent structure. For the human person as both transcendent and immanent in the life process. Once God has gathered his life into his hands, he takes and gives thanks for that life. This is also true for us. It is not a matter of remembering the past, but it is a matter of remembering the truth that our dependency in every moment of knowledge that right now we are living through that very grace. Holding fast to this truth will increase the feeling of gratitude. Gratitude, in turn, will fill us from the inside, fill us within. And we will flow without. The life freely given becomes a life we seek to freely give away. That's powerful, powerful statement. The life that we get from Christ is freely given, and we freely give it away in our actions and in our beings. I wonder, has that ever been said to you before? But today let us pray that we may be able to fulfill that goal of Christ who is in us may be filled and be outward in our actions. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.